Hello, welcome to this video. We're going to be going through how we launched a new info product for our client and went from $0 to $51,939 in cash collected in just 7 days. The cool thing, we spent $0 on ads and we had 99% profit margins. So who am I? My name is Ramez. I'm the founder and CEO of Our Digitals. We're a full-stack marketing agency working with the biggest online coaches, creators and influencers who are stuck below $20,000 a month. So in other words, you have a really big audience, really active community, so you get lots of comments, but you're struggling to put a leveraged info product or offer in front of that audience. So what is an info product? It's a digital resource you use to sell to your audience, which gives them the knowledge, information and skills you have to them, which is why they're buying it. So in other words, this could be a self-paced online course, community, a membership app, or a certification program. Could really be anything, right? And if you look at any online coach online on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they're selling something, right? So that's what an info product is. Now, over here, I'm showing a screenshot of how much my client has been making the past few years before we started working together. So for context, he had two offers: a low ticket digital product, which is what you see here, all of the sales he's been making the past few years, and he had a high ticket one-to-one coaching. So we started working in December 2024, and as you can see, the big spike, gonna break it down later in this video. But on average, he was making $4,000 to $5,000 a month. And in December, when we started in the final 2 weeks of December. We already hit his biggest month, which was a 10K month. And in the month after is when we built, launched, and scaled a new product from complete scratch, and we made $51,939 in cash collected. You see 57,000 here, but that's also scaling the other product he already had. So 6,000 came from that. From the new product, we had 51,000, and we made that in 7 days. So that's what I'm going to break down in this video. Let me just make myself small, put myself here. So it's not as simple as thinking to yourself that you have a big audience, you're getting tens to thousands of comments on every Instagram or TikTok reel which you release. It's not as simple as just putting a product in front of that big audience and making lots of money from it, right? Because number one, you need to also focus on providing the best quality product for your audience, because you want them to buy again and again to increase the lifetime value. And number two, if you get really positive feedback and testimonials from that product, they are going to tell their friends, and by word of mouth, you get lots of referrals into your course, and you can grow passively without really doing any marketing. And also, it will just be easier when you do the content marketing, you run your ads in the future, lots of people will buy. So the key problems my client had the past few years is that, number one, he was doing non-stop one-to-one coaching and feeling completely burnt out. Now, his typical schedule was 3-4 days a week. He would do 10 to 12 hours of one-to-one coaching, and he would do that for 4 years non-stop. Why is that so bad? And unfortunately, so many coaches do this is because there's only ever so many clients on a one-to-one you can take on. You only have 24 hours in a day. And even if you make 50K, 100K a month from one-to-one coaching, and you have lots of clients, that's going to burn you out, right? So he wanted to lower the one-to-one and scale a different product. He just couldn't figure that out. The second problem is that he was struggling to wear all of the hats in his coaching business. So my client, before we started working, he was the content creator, he was the editor, he was the marketer, and he was the coach. He was literally everything. And this is really difficult because as a coach, you want to focus on what you're the best at, which is actually providing the product or service to your clients, not having to focus on everything business related. And from a lot of the coaches I've spoken to the past few years, a lot of them actually don't know the best strategy or the best offer or the best way of copywriting. So that's why this is a huge problem. But the reason he was in this problem was because he did try working with lots of people in the past. So, contractors who he would hire from online, so Upwork, Fiverr, these different platforms, or he would work, and he has worked with one of the biggest online Instagram coaches. And that still didn't help him because he didn't need consulting, he didn't want coaching, and he wanted someone who could partner with him and actually help him scale the proper way instead of telling him what to do. He didn't want information, he wanted implementation, which is why we came in. And the reason why the online contractors didn't work is because, as a coach, one of the key things for you is personal branding. You want your videos to be edited in a very specific way, which is perfectly normal and fine, and it must be that way. You want things being done very precisely to what you like. But lots of online contractors, they just couldn't fulfill that. Another problem he had was that he had a limit on his full potential. He wanted to provide more value to his market and also make more money, more income, but he had no clear direction. He didn't know where to start or finish, and he didn't know which offers to launch and how to position it. The other problem he had is that he didn't understand what his audience actually wanted and how much they were willing to pay for that specific offer, right? So sometimes coaches think they know their audience correctly, but if you're not frequently communicating with them, finding out what their problems are or where they're trying to go, and all of the other questions you could ask, you would never know which offers they want and how much they're willing to pay for. So if I had to sum up the three key problems he had: number one, offer positioning; number two, front to end strategy; and number three, he was a one person army. So we came in and we applied our $0 to $50,000 launch blueprint, right? And it consists of these four different domains, broadly speaking. So the first one, market research, then back end operations, then marketing, and then the launch. Now, the reason this is so important, and I've made the diagram square based for a reason, is because this is a flywheel, right? Everything you put into the system, wherever you start, is going to feed back into the system and help you make more money long term. Because as a coach, the last thing you want is just making short term cash and short term sales. You want longevity. You want to consistently be making the income you're making. You want stability. So this is why this flywheel is super important. There's no endpoint. It's like, I mean, you can turn the switch off if you wanted to lower the volume. That's perfectly fine. But the good thing here is that once you get results with this, it keeps scaling from there. So the first thing we're going to go into is market research. So in other words, this is finding out who your audience is and which offer they actually want, and just all of the information you need about them. Now, some of the questions I've put here is to prompt you into finding your own way of messaging your audience, because I could tell you to ask these questions through your Instagram and TikTok stories or your reels. Some other person online could tell you to knock on people's doors who you think would be your ideal customer and try to get the data from them. So what I'm not going to do is give you the exact vehicle, because I want to teach you the first principles so that you can apply it in what feels right to you. But essentially speaking, you want to find out what are the current offers which you're selling to your audience. So in my client's case, he had a low ticket product, as mentioned, high ticket one-to-one. The middle was missing. He didn't really have a mid-ticket product, and he didn't know what, sort of resource to tie in with that mid-ticket. And it's not as simply as having a big audience and trying to put a mid-ticket product in front of them so that they start buying, because maybe they want another low-ticket product. But that was the thought process I was going through. So you should go through the same thing. What are the current offers which you're selling? Which offer is making the most sales, and why is that making sales, right? What are your audience's pain points, desired outcomes, and how do they want you to deliver your material? So if you're thinking about a mid-ticket product, you don't need to launch a group coaching program. You might want to release a 3-day live workshop. It's really different from coach to coach. So don't assume what your audience actually wants, right? So get the feedback from them by asking them the right questions. You want to find out how low or high intent are the leads. Intent just refers to how likely the lead is to buy from you, from one of your offers. So if you have a bunch of unqualified leads who are liking your videos, commenting down below, who don't really match your target audience, they are very low intent. They're not going to buy from you. They're going to want a lot of freebies and free guides. You'll collect their emails, but on the back end, you can't sell to them because they're low intent. They're not even your ideal, customer profile. The other thing you want to find out is there low or high demand for your current offers? And this new offer which you're thinking about releasing, the new info product, How high demand is it? So one way in which my client and I tested this is over the past 4 years of you online coaching, did you recognize any pattern in the questions your audience was asking you? So for example, for my client, he knew damn well that people wanted more than a self-paced online course. Because with a course, it's self-paced, right? There's no accountability, there's no proximity to the actual coach, and people can quit. They can buy the product but quit. But if you start doing group coaching, you still get access to an advanced level course, but you also get proximity to the coach and the community. How are you going to quit? You're being held accountable every step of the way. Boom, boom, boom. You can think of how to position it. But that was the thought process we went to. So he's been seeing that pattern in the DMs. People wanted more than a course, but they didn't want one-to-one coaching. So what did they want? So then we went through this exercise. We communicated with the audience. We got the data. Boom. We launched the product. 51K in 7 days. The next step is the back-end operations. Now, I've purposely put this as number 2 because what a lot of coaches do, they do content marketing. They release, let's say, even the YouTube videos. They've got their emails ready. They've got their website ready. They turn on the ads, but then they struggle to make sales long term. Well, the reason for that is because before you turn on anything, before you do any marketing, any advertising, before you make any website, if your back-end infrastructure is not correctly built, is not systemized, there are no efficient processes or workflows in place, whenever you get leads, they're just going to be leaking, right? You'll lose them through the gaps. You don't know when to follow up with the lead because you don't have the details. You don't know which leads you have, and you're not sure where you're losing them. And this is when coaches tend to have that mind bog where they've got no clear direction because they're getting leads, they're losing leads, right? So what we done with our client is we first built the back end. So we built all of the automation. So we use in particular some of the key ones, ManyChat and Go High Level. We got our client to buy a domain and also sign up for an email account. Now there's many different platforms you could use. So one is GoDaddy. That's a very common one. And we built the landing pages. We built the CRM, started managing that. And we built all of the marketing automation. So this way, when we do start getting people interested in the product, when they come into our ecosystem, we can track every single one, exactly where they are in the pipeline. Are they cold, warm, or hot, right? Why have they entered the pipeline? What was the response they gave? And how long have they been following my client for? Just everything we need to know about that specific lead, which in itself is amazing data. It's one thing tracking these leads, it's another thing having the data to yourself. And the next thing, we started marketing. Again, we didn't run any ads because we don't need to with this method. But of course, now that we've got 51K, you've got the cash, you can invest into ads. So with the marketing, you have to ask yourself, are you currently releasing any short form or long form content? And if you are, which type of content is going to resonate more with your audience? Like, for example, in my case, the reason I'm making this video, I'm not a coach, right? Because I run an agency providing a done-for-you service for coaches. But the reason I'm making this video is because I know coaches, they want a deep breakdown of how a strategy is actually working. Because the market can be very skeptical, right? So, there's every day you log in online, you see people making big claims and using different strategies. So I'm making this video very transparent. This is what we've done to make 51K in 7 days. The strategy works. So again, figure out which type of content would resonate with your specific audience and figure out your top and mid funnel content strategy. So for our client, he had a really good top funnel strategy. He was getting, average hundreds of thousands of views. Some videos were getting tens of millions. And I think 2 videos of his got hundreds of millions of views just in the past year. So his top funnel was really good. But his middle funnel was non-existent, right? So in other words, he would get so many leads, but the ones he had to nurture to see if they're willing to buy his product, he didn't have any nurturing videos in place. So that meant he kept going viral, really good for engagement, but he didn't know how to filter out the high quality leads who are willing to pay high ticket. Another key aspect of content marketing is having an optimal Instagram and TikTok stories calendar. If you don't have one or the other, that's fine. But for you, if you're a coach, creator, influencer, if you have both platforms, then utilize your stories. It's a way for your audience to connect with you and get to know you on a daily basis. So your Instagram page shows that you're a coach, right? So your stories is a way to show them the testimonials, show them your life outside of what you're actually coaching, to maybe show some of your other skills. Like, I like playing football when I'm free. I like going to the gym, right? Or I watch a lot of, let's say, UFC videos on YouTube, right? Whatever it is that you do outside, put it on your stories. Let your audience get to know you, right? It helps them connect with you more. And connection and rapport is super important. So finally, we've got the launch, the favorite part, right? But there's a lot of work to do before this. So we typically do a launch over 7 days. And the way this actually works is, as soon as it starts, you've done all of the hard work. You can literally, as soon as enrollment into your product opens, you can literally close your laptop, go to a different country, and just go on holiday, switch off for 7 days, and you will have non-stop payments coming through. For our client in particular, which is crazy, so he was making $4,000 to $5,000 a month on average for 4 years, and making 51 or 57K in that first month of January 2025. He's made his annual salary in the first month of the year. So, it's important to understand that this could literally change your life if you do it the right way. But with the launch, make sure to sell on the back end, not on the front end. So what I mean by this is, don't sell through your Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. Just sell on the back end. Collect their email address, collect these leads, and start selling to them. And for context, 100% of the launch we done, the 51,000, it all came from emails which we copyrighted for our client. So if you're doing this by yourself right now, if you're an online coach, creator, influencer, just make sure you master your email copywriting. It's super important, right? Any coach who's doing, multiple six figures a month or even millions a month, they will tell you the same thing. And the last thing is, do not get complacent and keep the momentum. Again, it can be life-changing making this much money in only 7 days, like a month in. But the key thing is, it's a flywheel. Whatever result and feedback you got, use that for the next launch. So you can go on your holiday. Like my client right now, he's gone to the beach, right? So, and he hasn't seen the beach in like a few weeks. He loves going to the beach. So, have your fun after, but don't get complacent. Use the data and keep working hard for the next launch, because this is your business and this is what you love, and this is what we love doing as well. So I wanted to make something clear. What will improve the odds of your success actually using our 0 to 50K launch blueprint, right? So it's these 4 things. Number 1, a huge following is not strictly important. So if you have 500,000 followers or 10,000 followers, 5 million followers, irrelevant. The key thing is how actively engaged your audience is. So if you're getting tens of thousands of comments on each of your reels, that's really good engagement, right? Number 2, you must be known to your audience for the knowledge, skills, or information you're providing to them. So they're following you for a very specific niche, right? So you could be a high performance coach, you could be a fitness coach, a manifestation coach. You could literally be anything, but they must be following you and commenting for the knowledge, skills, or information you have, because that's where you create value. If you sell something, they want that value, they're going to want to buy it. The third thing is, you must have a proven track record of student or client case studies and testimonials you have. Because if you have 0, you have no authority and you have no social proof. You can use yourself as a case study, that's not a problem, right? But you do need to have some sort of case study, right? And the case studies need to be super specific. Like I've, consulted clients in the past who weren't a right fit for our done for you partnership. And one key thing I see is that the testimonials they've got from their clients, it doesn't really go deep into the problems that they had. When you're asking for testimonials, make it very visual. Make sure that as you're reading it, you can sense the emotion your client is going through, because people connect based off emotion, not just logic. So be very specific with your testimonials. And the fourth thing is you must be willing to work, because these numbers look cool. 57K in a month, 51K off one launch in 7 days, and like only 6 weeks into our partnership with our client. It looks really cool, but it doesn't mean there's zero work to do. And I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'll be completely honest. Like, there was a lot of work to be involved. Like, those 4 boxes I showed you is not a simple walk in the park. Now that we've finished the launch, it feels like there's no work to do, and we've got a long time before the next launch happens, right? But there's lots of work to do. So be willing to work. Now, if you tick these boxes, if you're an online coach, creator, influencer, and you're interested to see how we can scale your coaching business from below $20,000 to $50,000 to $100,000 a month in under the next 6 months, then you can book your 15-minute audit call with me, and the link will be in the description box down below. Just put this little image. It looks quite cool because it's an email, and you'll get an email. But yeah, so from my perspective, we're looking to help 10 coaches, creators, or influencers with big audiences who tick those 4 boxes scale past $50,000 to $100,000 a month in 2025 by using our 0 to 50K launch blueprint, where we partner with you on a done-for-you offer, and we practically do a lot of the things for you. And of course, there's still work from your side, but we keep relaunching 50K a month, 50K a month, 50K a month, eventually 100K a month, right? So we're looking to help 10 people. So book your 15-minute audit call below if that resonates. And until next time, take care, and thank you very much for listening.